Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
This whistleblower, whose complaint was deemed credible and urgent by a Trump appointee, is protected by these statutes. There is no legal doubt about that.
That, if you guys don't know who that is, that's Chuck Schumer. He's mad because apparently everybody knows who the whistleblower is. I don't. Look, here's the thing about the whistle. Is it the whistleblower because he's been exposed? And they're like, Don Jr. exposed the whistleblower. And the Don Jr.'s like, Real Clear Politics exposed the whistleblower like a week ago. No, it's all your fault. Everybody knew. And then you got other people coming out like Rand Paul saying, you know what, maybe I'll do it.
Director General can't reveal the name. There's nothing that prevents me from saying it now other than that I want it to be more about process and less about the person. But there's no law that prevents me from mentioning the name of who's been said to be the whistleblower. And there's something important also. It's called the Constitution. The Sixth Amendment to the Constitution says if you are going to accuse me of a crime, I get to stare you down in court. That is absolutely part of the Constitution.
Yeah, and here's the difference. Like, what people are saying, and people are like, oh, that's not, you shouldn't do that. We need to protect whistleblowers. Yes, but the Constitution overrides that because you're not saying something civilly, like, I'm going to sue you for this, and I saw something that didn't rise to a crime, but civilly you could sue somebody. No, you're saying that this here is a crime that the president perpetrated. And so because of that, his name, which by all accounts, it was the worst kept secret in the world. Right? By all accounts, was the worst in the world of politics. Everybody knew. Everybody knew. And there was nothing stopping anybody from coming out and telling everybody who the whistleblower was. Other than, I think people want to be... Look... You shouldn't, because of this day and age of tribalism and because so many people are insane, I understand why you shouldn't do something like this, right? Because people are just loony and I'm going to protect the president. And, no. Who is the guy? His name is Eric Chamarella. He's supposed to be, okay, so here's the other thing. Now, I'm going to tell you guys about the world of sales. All right, so get ready for this. If this is who he is, and again, it's alleged, but what Real Clear Politics and other people have said, not just their people I've talked to, have said, look, his names are all over a lot of these things, but he's not being talked to. So that leads a lot of people to go, okay, 1 + 1 + 1, it's 2. It's this guy, it's Eric. Some people are saying, worked under Obama, National Security Council, big never Trumper, part of the Steele dossier, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I don't know if that's true. I don't know. I don't even know if it's him. But if it is, and those things were true, then if you're the Republicans, you're laughing. Because you're like, look at all this crap. Look at this. How could you trust somebody like that? How could you? How could you? If those things were true. And again, it's a big if. Like everything in these situations, it's a big if. Speaking of these situations, next Wednesday, it's on.
We are getting an increasing appreciation for just what took place during the course of the last year and the degree to which the president enlisted whole departments of government in the illicit aim of trying to get Ukraine to dig up dirt on a political opponent.
Now, why this is important when you listen to him, even though Adam Dipshift drives me crazy, you all know that. Take a deep breath, Phil. I didn't say that word. I call him Dip, and his last name is Adam. And Schiff is the thing I've been saying all along. Who cares about the transcripts of the call? It is all of the things that led up to said phone call that Trump would take that they're trying to put together to go to the American people and say, here, look at this right here. Take away the transcript of the call, which was beautiful, greatest call of all time. We don't even need phones anymore. You can't replicate anything like that. Greatest call The call was great. If Jesus came down, tried to call, would not do it as good. No, it is everything else. Rudy is a problem. Giuliani is a problem. Giuliani has every right, working for the campaign, to dig up dirt. It's how he might have done it that could be a problem. Using ambassadors, putting pressure on people to do certain things, to go out so they would publicly announce to the world that they are looking into Burisma and the Biden family and all of this stuff. And no, there are things that if you look at it from the outside and you're an honest person who is like, yeah, you know, you have a little bias one way or another, but you're not going to put anybody so far up there as to not say you can do no wrong or be in another situation where it doesn't matter if it's not true. I still believe it to be true. He's got some issues. Will it get to the point where he is going to be removed? Mitch McConnell said yesterday.
I'd be surprised if it didn't end the way the two previous ones did, with the president not being removed from office.
Yeah. At this point in time, I don't see that. And even if you build somewhat of a case that looks like this, I think we're also at a point where the division, the way that people feel, the fact that we're not, there's just so many things that go into it that you take into account across everything. And we're so close to an election, and we're going to be heading into an election season in a few months where we're going to start to have actual primaries, and it's going to come on fast. And I think the way that the average person looks at it, like, you know what, I'm not paying that much attention. Why don't you guys just settle this next November? Do we really need to spend everything here focusing strictly on this? I don't know. I want to see everything. Next week, we'll talk about it more in depth as they break it down. You know, you got Bill Taylor, this guy who's apparently some of the stuff he said is very damaging. But there was also a diplomat that said, hey, I don't agree with some of this stuff. A Ukrainian diplomat that's like, some of the stuff that I'm hearing is more in favor of Trump, saying I didn't get any of that. Nobody told me there was a quid pro quo. So there's a lot of different things flying around. But does the average person in America, because you got the extremes, they're doing their thing. What you doing? I'm doing my thing. Right? I hate Trump. I love Trump. I'm disillusioned with America because Trump's evil. Or I love Trump and he can do anything he wants and he's God and Yahweh and all. Those people don't count. It's the average independent voter, somebody who maybe doesn't like Trump but voted for him, and somebody who didn't vote for him but doesn't hate him. Those people you have to convince, because they're the ones who ultimately, because there's more of them, will put pressure on politicians if there's going to be a removal to say, hey, you're running and it's coming up and we're going to do everything in our power. If you don't do the right thing to remove you, people will listen. In the end, if you ask a senator or a congressperson, hey, if you vote this way because you want to protect the party, you're going to be voted out, they'll switch their vote. Because it's always about who? Them. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You know how I know it's always about them? First of all, because we're human beings, and we look out for who? Number one. Period. Case closed. Don't care who you are. Secondly, mildly important, think about this. Jeff Sessions is going to run again for his old Senate seat because he's looking around, and they can't give it up. They're addicted to that kind of power. And Trump apparently has made it known that if you run for your old Senate seat, I will campaign against you. Well, if it's any indication of what took place last night, might not be the worst thing for Trump. Trump, let's go back to the Wayback Machine 2 nights ago.
Sending that big message to the rest of the country. It's so important. You got to get your friends. You got to vote. Because if you lose, it sends a really bad message. It just sends a bad, and they will build it up. Here's the story. If you win, they're going to make it like ho-hum. And if you lose, they're going to say Trump suffered the greatest defeat in the history of the world. You can't let that happen to me.
Yeah, well, it did. It did. So, Kentucky, right? So you got Kentucky. Out goes Bevins. In comes Andy Bashir. That's a loss. Now, down ticket, they won, Republicans. But Trump was there for Bevin, and he lost. And he's not going anywhere at all. That guy's he's gonna fight tooth and nail. There's gonna be a recount the whole 9 yards. But it looks like Trump didn't help him. Virginia used to be really red. Then it got a little purple. Then it got a little bit purpler. Then it actually just got purple. Then it got dark purple. Now it's blue. Think Arizona's going to go that way eventually. Think this next one's going to be purple for sure. And I wouldn't be surprised if it went blue. It wouldn't shock me. You're probably going to have 2 senators from the state of Arizona where they're going to throw a ton of money in. You got Kyrsten Sinema, who's already won. She beat Martha McSally. Martha McSally then took over for the late John McCain, but she has to run again, and she's got to go up against somebody, Mark Kelly, who is, her big thing is, I broke these glass ceilings. I'm a fighter pilot. It's the first female fighter pilot. And he's like, yeah, I was a fighter pilot and I'm an astronaut. And my wife got shot, Gabby Giffords. So here we go. And they're going to pour a ton of money in here because they believe these are one of the Senate seats they can flip. And they could start to turn Arizona from what? From red, from real dead red, to purplish hue, to potentially purple, maybe blue. You don't know, but the possibility's there. And they're going to throw a ton of money in here. And they're looking around saying, who can we pick off? 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Feel free to tweet at me. Do love hearing from every single one of you. All this is going on. And people, you forget about one thing. There's a budget battle coming very, very, very soon.
There is no excuse to have a government shutdown. The biggest challenge we've always had is finding the number we both agree upon. We agreed upon that quite some time ago. The problem of why there's even that question being asked is pretty much impeachment.
Yeah. And there's a possibility of a government shutdown. That's coming. All the stuff's going on. That could be the next thing that the battle goes on about. And on and on and on. There's always something else. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Here's something that doesn't have a shutdown. People who need help. Wounded Paw Project is so amazing. On average, we lose well over 20 veterans a day to suicide. They need help in ways that you cannot imagine. On top of that, so do our nation's other heroes, our first responders, and the families. And then you forget that we have so many animals, especially dogs in shelters, that are being euthanized every day. Wounded Paw Project puts them together, our furry best friends and our nation's heroes. And it's amazing. They take dogs who would otherwise be euthanized, train them from the time in the shelter to the time that they're going to go and be given and united with these heroes to be service dogs. Their motto is to save a paw is to save a life, and they need your help. It's not cheap. So you can take action today. It's a great tax-deductible gift. If you got an extra car, truck, RV, even a boat, guess what? It is truly a vehicle for change. You're going to be saving a paw to save a life. They also take cash donations. Check everything out at woundedpawproject.org. That's woundedpawproject.org, woundedpawproject.org, or call 844-678-4PAW, 844-678-4729. It's the Chad Benson Show.
Chad Benson Show, the only place so far that the Mueller investigation hasn't deep probed for collusion.
Redacted! Redacted!
Stay tuned.
This is Chad Benson.
Wondering how much to tip? Dana Steele says you're not alone.
Clerks at different businesses that I go to, and I say, add 20%, and they get this look of fear in their eyes, and then they reach for a calculator, and I'm like, no, it's really quite simple.
The creator of Your Daily Success Tip tells us how simple.
Take the amount of money of your check. If it's over 50 cents, round it up. If it's under 50 cents, round it down. So if it's $7.51, round it up to 8, and double that. That's 16. Move the decimal point over one place to the left, and it's $1.60.
If you don't know that, you're an idiot. Double the tax, whatever it is, right? How about this? Just don't be a Richard. I'm amazed at how bad people tip. I am. I'm always amazed by that. I think tipping is, people are working their ass off. Now, you will get bad service every once in a while. And if it's repeatedly by the same person, then don't go to that person. And there you go. Right? Like, because I always give everybody you know what? Maybe he or she was having a bad day. Maybe, I don't know what's going on in life. Who knows? I mean, maybe their mom died or whatever. It's just, their husband left them, their wife left them, their girlfriend, they're struggling. Who knows? But I'm just amazed at how bad people tip. I've always been amazed. Shouldn't be that hard. It's like, there it is. What are you doing? I'm going to tip. All right, cool. How you going to tip? It used to be just double the tax, right? Now they even got it on there for you. So last night we went to dinner. So I go out with Lloyd, and who is a big executive producer and does all kinds of stuff. So we go to dinner. And so we're at dinner, and they give us a check, and he's like, look at this. And it says, what it costs. It was a cool place, right? Great place. And then underneath it says, tip for whatever we want to tip. And then it says charity. And I'm like, charity? Which I have no problem with. Like, I go to Panda Express. They're always, hey, do you want to round up? Like it's $15.19. They're like, hey, do you want to give 81 cents and round it up and to whatever? And then, that goes to whatever. And I asked her, I said, so what's the charity? She's like, I don't know. She goes, I think it might be prostate this month. I'm like, so you don't know what it is, but you want people to give? She goes, it used to be easier when we used to just have rounded up and it would just go to like the Children's Miracle Network or something. But now every month they pick something different. But there was nothing about it. Like, it could have been like charity could have been a girl that worked there. I don't know. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Feel free to tweet at us. Good food, though. Talk a little bit more about what went down in Mexico. It's the Chad Benson Show.
The Chad Benson Show.
Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
There's a lot of stuff out there in this 2020 election, and we were just talking about tipping. And I watched the thing today as they were talking about, the new health care and all this stuff that's going to happen. And as we were talking about tipping, producer Phil, what's that place that you go? What's it called? Lucille's? What is
Hot
it?
Lola's. The food is really good.
Hot Lola's. Okay, Hot Lola's. What's on there? Explain it to the people what's on, because my thing last night had a, the tip and then had charity. But what's on the Hot Lola receipt?
You get charged 4% fair wage and wellness provision. They what does it say? They have taken this, encourages transparency and does not further aggravate the inequality between front and back of house wages.
Yeah, it's nuts. But that's okay. Wait, what? Like, why even put that on there? I mean, raise it a penny here, raise it 2 cents. I mean, whatever that you think you're going to do, that's going to try to do whatever it is that you want to do, because I don't know what it is. But the customers are going to pay for it. And listening to Elizabeth Warren try to break down her whole thing and, well, we're going to come after corporations. Okay, so you're going to go after corporations. But here's the thing. Corporations are going to not have to pay anymore. So they're going to take that money and, her thought process was they're going to take that money and they're going to pass it on to you in a higher wage. But wait a minute, you're going to tax corporations a lot more to pay for it. So they're still going to be paying for it. They're still going to be paying for health care. You're just shifting it around and putting the burden on other people and having other people take the burden on themselves. That's all you're doing. It's not free, and you can come up with any wacky math you think and utopia. I was talking to one of my friends is a reporter, and we were talking about Trump last night, and she was laughing because she said, "Look, Chad, I've realized that my hatred of Trump, and she goes, I will give him kudos for all of like a lot of the stuff that he has pushed through that I think should be." She goes, "But at the same time, as a person," she goes, "I don't like it, but I understand that it's unhealthy and it's irrational." She goes, "In my dream world," she goes, "I would love Elizabeth Warren to be president." She goes, "Except for the fact that I can't live in a dream world of rainbows, unicorns, and puppy dogs. That's not real." And I often wonder how many people really think that kind of stuff's real. Like, do you really think that you're going to get health care for free? Do you really think that you're going to actually get health care and free jobs from the federal government, and that you're also going to get all of your debt wiped off, and that it's not going to cost anybody anything, and it's not going to burden anybody else, and there's not going to be repercussions? You really think that? Do you think that rich people are evil and bad? And success, the funny thing is the greed that they always accuse somebody who's got a lot of money. You got a lot of money. You could afford it. You could just go in the back because you're just like Scrooge McDuck and you probably jump off a diving board and land in all kinds of gold. No, that's insane. You're going to what? You're going to punish rich people? Yeah, it's not punishing, Chad. It's spreading the wealth. I get that. But the thing is, the way you talk about them, the things that you say, and how they've been demonized, and you've built this us versus them. You talk about Trump's a divider, race divider. You know what? They play a game of division over on the left side, too. And they get a free pass. And this utopia of unicorns, rainbows, and puppy dogs, it ain't going to work that way. It isn't. It isn't going to work that way. For all the things Biden misses, and he misses a lot, he's not an idiot when it comes to it ain't happening. It ain't happening. Buttigieg just said it. It's just not the way you think. And you go and you look in our past and places they've tried to do stuff, where they've tried to roll out Medicare for all, they tried to do things, and it is imploded. It is absolutely imploded. Doesn't mean we don't look at better ways of doing things. Doesn't mean we don't venture into certain areas and say maybe we give people a choice. And it also doesn't mean that we don't say, look, everybody under the age of 18 is completely covered. Everybody over the age of 65 is covered. And everybody else, you guys are on your own unless you're just completely incapacitated in every way, shape, or form. And by completely covered, I mean completely covered. If you're 65 years old and you have cancer, you're not paying for anything. If you're 6 years old and you have cancer, you're not paying for anything. Family's not paying for anything. If you're 24 and you can't find health care in some way, shape, or form, it's a little bit on you. There's ways. I'm not saying that's perfect. Nothing is going to be perfect. But I just love the greed from people who say, oh, rich people are greedy and they're bad and they're evil. And then you're like, well, hold on a second. You want all of their money. Why are they bad and evil if you want all of their money? Doesn't that make you just as greedy? Just a thought. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us. Still reeling from the Mexico murders. They arrested somebody. Now, from what we're hearing, that somebody had nothing to do with this. But that somebody had an armored vehicle with AK-47s and other, rifles and ammunition and, I guess, potentially some explosive devices, but apparently not part of it. It is nuts, but also had 2 hostages. And we're learning more details about how many bullets were fired, at least inside of the car.
Mexican officials believe drug traffickers attacked the family, possibly confusing them as a rival gang. Authorities say the gunman fired more than 200 rounds at the women and children, the three mothers driving in separate vehicles, caravanning to stay safe. Relatives say at one point one of the mothers got out of her vehicle with her hands up to show they were families.
Yeah, she was shot. And she had managed to put the baby, one of the babies underneath, and that baby managed to stay alive and for all the stuff that went off, but underneath like the dashboard. Some of these things are miraculous, including two of the older children, Devin Langford and his sister. I think they're 12 and 13, but they ran into, after all this happened, they got out, and apparently the gunmen who were coming down essentially said, you guys need to go. And they went, but they didn't know where to go. They were confused. They were terrified. Some of them were shot, and they walked 14 miles, 12 miles, something like that, to get help. And it's you're hearing all kinds of things, coming out, because you got to remember too, on top of all of what's going on, Mexico is doing the investigation. Mexico probably, we talk about the Ukraine being corrupt. Mexico, the federales, all of these, of course, there's a ton of corruption. Some people here in the U.S. State Department, I guess, are saying that they thought that they're finding out some evidence that maybe they were actually the targets. I don't know why. And these families have been, and they're an offshoot of the Mormon Church, that they're not associated with the Mormon Church, and they've been there since the 1920s. Like, if they really wanted them dead, they just go into the area where they are and kill them. I mean, they're not afraid of anything. I do think it was a mistake. That's my opinion. And I think the people that did that are probably dead, because it did bring on heat. And this isn't going anywhere anytime soon. And there was a battle earlier in the day with it's just with gangs and cartel. You have no idea just the insanity. I was talking to Nylea Leon, who's one of the reporters here at KTR in Phoenix. And we were sitting there, we were talking, and she was telling me, because she's from Douglas, which is right there on the border. And, she's from Nogales, and right across is where her grandparents are. And she goes, Douglas, it's a bit of ways, but it's the kind of similar thing. And she says, look, we go visit my grandparents. My dad always says, hey, we're going to take the SUV, and they've got like an Escalade or a Tahoe or something like that. And she goes, my mom says no, because why? Because they tell you not to take that. Why? Because that is exactly what most of them are traveling in. And that's a no. You don't. And you've got a group of 3 SUVs, and you're hearing different things, that they were traveling together, that some of the cars were a few miles apart, but you still have 3 SUVs in an area where you're probably not used to seeing SUVs coming in threes unless it's something, potentially bad. And it was. And it is ugly, and it is horrible, and I don't think this is the end, because if they were really targeted, that means the others are going to be targeted. And they said they're not leaving. They're not going anywhere. This is their home, and they're not going anywhere. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You tweet at me. Listen to this. What you guys listen to this?
I guess we always knew that it would be stormy weather. This is how we want you to get life.
George Michael from beyond on the grave. Apparently he's got a bunch of music that was unfinished, and they are going to start releasing it. Tomorrow, the movie Last Christmas, tomorrow night, comes out, which is based on the song Last Christmas, and it's Emily Clark. I think earlier I said somebody else, but it's like, no, it's the Game of Thrones star, Emily Clark. I'm like, I don't watch Game of Thrones. I think Henry Golding is in it, who is the star of Crazy Rich Asians. And it's based basically on the music of George Michael and Last Christmas. You're going to hear a lot of it. And I have a prediction that Last Christmas is going to chart. I'm just throwing it out there. I have a prediction. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Car Shield. Get it. You don't want to be caught without it. I used it. Families used it. It's simple. You call them up. You say, hey, my car is broke down. They're like, uh-oh. You get 24/7 roadside assistance. You get a rental car for free while your car's in the shop. And they say, what shop do you want to take it to? And I had a shop that I had taken my car to since I was a young kid. I trust them. Boom. Things get done. They've been great to me. And I'm telling you guys, it's just nice knowing. And nowadays with cars, we were talking about this isn't the day and age where something goes wrong with your car. You think, yeah, you can fix it and stuff. When I had my old Bug, I was like, it's like a Lego set, right? Not like that nowadays. Now you open it up and you're like, I think I need to learn how to code. They take care of it all for you. They get the shop paid directly. You pay a small deductible and away you go. How do you get in touch with them? Simple. Call 800-CAR-6000, mention code Benson, or visit carshield.com, use code Benson. That's going to save you 10%. Carshield.com, code Benson, or call 800-CAR-6000, mention code Benson, saves you 10%. A deductible may apply. It's the Chad Benson Show.
Check out our Chad Benson Show Facebook page where you can hang out or hang your grievances out to dry. This is Chad Benson.
I've had the story for 3 years. I've had this interview with Virginia Roberts. We would not put it on the air. First of all, I was told, who's Jeffrey Epstein? No one knows who that is. This is a stupid story. Then the palace found out that we had her whole allegations about Prince Andrew and threatened us in a million different ways. We were so afraid we wouldn't be able to interview Kate and Will that also quashed the story. And then Alan Dershowitz was also implicated in it because of the planes. She told me everything. She had pictures. She had everything. She was in hiding for 12 years. We convinced her to come out. We convinced her to talk to us. It was unbelievable what we had. Clinton. We had everything.
That right there is Amy Robach, who is co-anchor 2020, news fill-in and anchor for Good Morning America, talking about Jeffrey Epstein. And, of course, over the last 2 weeks, it's, you've seen all kinds of memes that'll tell you something really like, hey, you know what, volcanoes and da-da-da-da-da, or whatever. And then, oh, by the way, Epstein didn't kill himself. And we were joking about the Molson one that was on their Wikipedia, talking about all the things they brew. And at the bottom it said, and Jeffrey Epstein didn't kill himself. And here's a woman who had a bunch of stuff. And ABC killed it, right? And they came out and responded saying, it was just a frustrating thing and da-da-da-da-da-da. And look, you guys can't get away with this anymore, right? NBC got caught. ABC, CBS, everybody got caught. Ronan Farrow exploited, and exposed every one of them for covering up for powerful men. To think that Epstein, who had far more money than Weinstein, who ran in circles that, dare I say, were more exclusive, right? You're hanging out with royalty and other people, even if it's just a few times that they're on, going places or visiting. Look, it's enough to make people ask the question. And I asked yesterday, did a poll, said, super scientific, by the way. Do you think he committed suicide or was murdered? 79% of you said, you know what? I think he was murdered. I'm not going to go there and say I think he was murdered. It would not shock me if you found out. And it doesn't have to be like, look, he's a scumbag who's a sexual offender. Last time I checked, whether you're Epstein or anybody else, and you're a sexual offender, in prison, you're dead meat if they have the chance. But I don't know, right? And we'll never know. Because if it's true that there's a major cover-up, and there has been, which we've seen there has been, guess what? People like that cover up a lot of stuff. And by the way, here's a little something weird. Guess who she's married to, producer Phil? Old Amy.
Who was that?
Andrew Shue, Elizabeth Shue's brother. And, of course, he was on Melrose Place. Former professional soccer player himself. How about that? How about apples that are those apples? 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Are you guys ready? Huh? Are you? Because here it comes.
Elsa, get out of there!
Frozen 2 isn't in theaters for a few more weeks, but it's already setting records. Presale tickets hit the internet Monday, and both Fandango and Atom Tickets say Frozen 2 had the best first-day presale numbers of any animated film ever. That tops this year's Toy Story 4 and last year's Incredibles 2. Frozen 2 hits the big screen November 22nd.
It's weird because Jack went and saw Frozen 2, and he saw Frozen and he loved it. And, as a kid, he loved it. And I asked him the other day, I said, do you want to go see Frozen 2? He's like, nah. Because you're at that point when these movies are so far removed that a lot of that first audience, may go, but Jack's like, nah, no. Now he's like, Dad, I'd like to see Terminator. I'm like, I get it, brother. I get it. I'd rather see Frozen 2 by what I hear about the Terminator. But hey, 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson is both your Twitter and Instagram. Posted something funny on both of those. You have a chance to check it out. This is the Chad Benson Show.
This is the Chad Benson Show. Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
Bill Taylor, the top American diplomat in Ukraine, said he was initially confused about why the money was being withheld and grew so concerned he sent a rare cable to the Secretary of State, Mike Pompeo. It was Pompeo who personally asked Taylor, a career diplomat and Vietnam veteran, to take the post in Ukraine.
Hey, everybody makes mistakes. Mike Pompeo, everybody makes mistakes.
Also testifying next week, former Ukrainian Ambassador Marie Yovanovitch.
What's it mean? I don't know. It means we're going to watch these people get up there and they're going to state their case and they're going to talk about, stuff that we already know they're going to talk about it. And unless there's some sort of person hiding in the wings that Adam Schiff has hidden and is going to go, oh, wait, hold on a second. And he's going to go underneath and he's going to pull out something. Look at this person here. This is such and such and such and such and such and such and such. And there you go. And away we head. And this person has everything. Then what's it going to be? But don't focus, all right? And I continue to tell people this. Do not focus on the transcripts of the call. It is everything now that has led up to that call, which is where they're trying to pin the abuse of power and the quid pro quo. It's everything else that's led up to said that. Like Trump just didn't pick up the phone and go, hey, I got to call that guy that, I don't know, his Epstein guy. Yeah, well, I don't know his name. I'm just going to pick it up and call him right now, right? Like, no. It's everything that led up to them so he would take the phone call. And that's what you need to think about.
We are getting an increasing appreciation for just what took place during the course of the last year and the degree to which the president enlisted whole departments of government in the illicit aim of trying to get Ukraine to dig up dirt on a political opponent.
So that's why you had Sondland come back in and say, hold on a second. Everybody else said something I didn't say, so maybe I should amend that. And he's like, well, I didn't really amend it, but I kind of did, but I didn't. But you know what I mean. I mean, I just, Does it mean that he's going to be removed? That's the thing that everybody wants to know. I have to explain this. You guys are smart enough to understand. You get what it is. Does it mean that that's going to happen, Mitch McConnell?
I'd be surprised if it didn't end the way the two previous ones did, with the president not being removed from office.
There you go. Pretty much sums, I think, everything up. At this point in time, And now that, people are talking about who the whistleblower is and that, supposedly Don Trump Jr. outed him, but then you find out that, hold on, the name has been floated out there forever. And a week ago it was in Real Clear Politics. And maybe this person is or isn't the whistleblower. But, both sides now have to paint a picture to the people that are like me, right? That I want to hear everything, and I want to see what transparency is. There's, let's see what it is, and we'll go from there. And what the left is going to try to do is paint the picture that, look, Trump put massive pressure for political gain for himself personally, which you can't do, right? And to have individuals, in particular, one of your political rivals, investigated. I've always said this. Do you think if this was Mike Pence's kid that there would be an investigation going on? Or Mitch McConnell's kid? Or Lindsey Graham's adopted kid? You're such a jerk. You guys are laughing, though. That's really what makes me smile. No, probably not. Or some senator's kid that doesn't really care about Trump, and even though they're on the other side, not a rival per se. No. And that's the picture they're going to paint. On the other side, the right's going to come out and say it's all a bunch of crap. It's all political. This is the second time they tried it. This guy here, and they're going to paint the picture wherever he is, right? Supposedly, the whistleblower's attorney was calling for impeachment in 2017. This guy he worked for Obama. He was supposedly a never Trumper. And, they're going to paint all of these pictures. And I don't know if any of that stuff is true, right? Because there's so much disinformation out there. And that's what it really is. You have to sift through all of this information. You got to sift through all of it if you really want to find the truth. And most people want to read a headline and go from there. Sad but true. We'll find out, though. You'll have people in front of you next week that are going to be saying their things. And what you're going to find is you'll listen to somebody who will get questions that are softballs, right? Like, whoa, wow. And you're going to go, oh, it's like watching those 2020 things when they're like, or Dateline. And you're like, oh, my God, this person totally did it. Then that person's people speak, and you're like, oh, my God, that person didn't do it. You can always tell it's always the person in jail that did it. So you'll have to decide for yourself. If you can pay too much attention, I'll watch it so you don't have to, and then we'll have fun with it. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Did not work yesterday for Trump. He went to, yes, I'm going to say it, kids. He went to Kentucky Monday night to try to get out the vote for Matt Bevin, and it was a
sending that big message to the rest of the country. It's so important. You got to get your friends. You got to vote, because if you lose, it sends a really bad message. It just sends a bad, and they will build it up. Here's the story. If you win, they're going to make it like ho-hum. And if you lose, they're going to say Trump suffered the greatest defeat in the history of the world. You can't let that happen to me.
Yeah, well, I don't know if it's the greatest defeat in the history of the world. Right? I don't know if it was that. I don't know if it shocked the world, right? This wasn't the 1980 U.S. men's hockey team. I mean, this was a guy that really wasn't like Matt Bevin getting beat. Now, he's not going anywhere because, that's what we do in politics. Now we hang on forever. So he's not going anywhere. So whatever. It is what it is. But Trump suffered in Virginia. Kentucky, down ticket, they did okay. Mississippi's governor won. I mean, it wasn't the worst, but you can see it now. There's certain situations where there's some vulnerabilities, in particular in the rural areas, if the rural area doesn't come out and vote. If it doesn't come out and vote. And I always say never. Look at Virginia 20 plus years ago, dead red state. Now it's blue. Don't think it can't happen. In saying that, San Francisco Fed said yesterday, we're not heading to any kind of recession. We'll have some bumps. Part of that's because of the tariffs. Part of it's because the other parts of the world are struggling, but we're fine. That's a huge win for the president. A huge win for the president. If that's where we are a year from now, I still find it really, really tough that he's going to be beat. New poll out that, I'm sitting here looking at this poll going, okay, wait a minute here. This poll says what? Like a political poll, talking about the fact that 35% of Democrats, registered Democrat likely voters, those are big things. When you look at polls can be misleading in a lot of different ways. But one thing that's very interesting about polls is when you look at them, and my buddy Paul Bentz over at Higher Ground talks about this all the time. You can shape polls and you ask questions the whole 9 yards. The thing that's interesting about polls is you go and you look and you say, are they likely voters? Are they registered voters? Because if you're just asking 1,000 people, that is a much different thing. But 35% of likely voters that are Democrats believe Trump's going to win. 56% overall believe he's going to win. That's a tough thing if you're a Democrat on the other side looking right now, trying to figure out how you're going to size him up when he's got $1 billion plus behind him. He's going to go out and look, some states don't even think Trump's coming there, right? Because either you already know you're going to vote for him or he's never, ever going to get a vote there. He's going to focus on 5 or 6 battleground states, Ohio, Michigan, Pennsylvania, Florida. He's going to go, Wisconsin in particular. He's going there and he's going to set up second homes. And already he's on the ground and he's battling. It's going to be tough. We're going to talk in a little bit to a guy, Mark Halperin, who's got a new book out. And I'm excited. The book is great. It's essentially How to Beat Trump. And it's not a book bashing Trump. The book is a great read. It is a book where he talks to like 76, 78, 79, of the best, brightest Democratic minds in America who've run campaigns, who are star makers breaking down Trump. And guess what? He's a beast, and they know it. And you cannot plan for him. He's just something you don't see, and he's probably a one-off. But they talk about all kinds of strategies of what may or may not work. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Feel free to tweet at me. I got my earbuds. Christmas, what are we, 6-8 weeks away from us? This is insane. Christmas, I could see it almost. If you just look over Thanksgiving, there's Christmas. And then it's New Year. And people are going to be going. Today you got all the big stores releasing their Black Friday deals. And I know one of the big things is going to be electronics, and one of the big things is going to be earbuds. And people are going to go out and they're going to spend way too much for stuff that doesn't work. Raycon's E25s, the new ones, are amazing. 6 hours of just amazing battery time. It's not even battery. It's just, you just plug it in and go, right? You get this little thing that looks like an egg. You plug it in, boom, take them out, slap in your ears, go. Better bass, noise filtering like you could not believe, sound quality through the roof. Ray J's done it. He's hit out of the park. And they're about, I would say, 50 to 60% less than a lot of these crazy ones with stems. And there's no wires, there's nothing. Right in your ears. More comfortable than ever before. And right now you're going to be able to save huge, 15% on top of that. Go to buyraycon.com/Chad. Buyraycon.com/Chad. You're going to save 15% right there. Buyraycon.com/Chad. What's trending? Chad Benson Show.
Being antisocial sucks. Hang with Chad's friends on Facebook, The Chad Benson Show. And if you just need some alone time, head on over to Twitter at Chad Benson Show. Either way, we can't wait to meet the real you.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0, ignition, liftoff.
Now it's time to find out what's trending. What's trending? Yeah, what does that mean? I mean something, right? Like it's trending on the old internet. What's trending? Stuff. Crap's trending. Some stuff I have no idea what any of it is because, well, quite frankly, I guess I'm just not that hip. I don't even know what the kids say nowadays. I don't. I know they say, okay, boomer. Pisses Anthony off. All right. Let's take a look at what's trending. I'm going to get to the last one in a minute because it's trending number one everywhere. Bill Gates is trending because he said essentially, hey, look, I'm taxed more than anybody. If I have to pay $10 billion, fine. If I pay $20 billion, I'm okay with that. You start saying you're going to take $100 billion, we need to have a conversation, and I might need to rethink. What? Jeff Sessions is trending. Not just because he's awful. No way. Yeah, because he's going to run for his old seat. In Alabama. Hey, everybody, Alabama. That's on Twitter. And number one, we'll get to in a second. Google. Target and Walmart are trending. Why? Because they got their Black Friday deals. No way. Yeah, they do. Honey Boy, that's Shia LaBeouf. Not to be confused with the awful movie we talked yesterday. Was it Honeycomb or what? I don't know. It was some Macedonian beekeeper movie. They're like, it's one of the best movies of the year. I'm like, no, it's not. It's not even close. It's not even close. But Honey Boy, Shia LaBeouf said the cop who arrested him and all the stuff he went through changed everything in his life. And, which is, maybe that's true. Maybe that's not. You never know. He's an odd character. Hell of an actor, but definitely an odd character. But the number one trending thing on both Google and Twitter are things like this. She's 18. OBGYN. T.I. Yeah. The rapper T.I. apparently takes his daughter to the gynecologist every year for her exam and wants to make sure she's still a virgin. And people are like, she's a kid. But she's a kid that's 18. She's an adult. It's a weird thing, right? Feels weird. I mean, but here's something. We hammer dads for not being there. Now, maybe he's overly protective. This is a possibility. I'm not going to lie to you. It's a possibility that he's a little overly. But wouldn't you rather have that? Because I've seen him. I don't think he's a bad dad, but everybody's hammering him for comments he's, of course, made about her virginity. It's a weird thing. I don't think he's an abusive, evil dad. I think he's a bit overprotective in this day and age, And look, let's be real. In this day and age, kids aren't even having sex because you'd have to talk to one another for that to happen. You'd have to do that. I watched Demolition Man. Have you ever seen that, Producer Phil, Demolition Man?
No, I haven't.
Okay, it's a pretty bad movie, but it's Sylvester Stallone, Wesley Snipes, and some girl named Sandra Bullock was in it. But it's like the future, right? Like they freeze him and they have to unfreeze Sylvester Stallone, chase around Wesley Snipes because it's the future and everybody's kind of like, oh, it's kind of very snowflakey. But they don't have like sex. They have like this weird thing you put on your head and you don't touch each other and stuff. And I'm like, that's where we're headed. That's where we're headed. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show. That is your Twitter. Feel free to tweet at me. Check out your Instagram as well. Mark Halperin joins us. Talk about his new book, Straight Ahead. It's going to be interesting. I promise you. Chad Benson Show.
Chad Benson Show.
Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
You hear it from me all the time. I like smart people, I like interesting people. This book is more than interesting. He is an interesting guy. Wide world of news. I get it every single day. I tell everybody you should subscribe to it. His new book is How to Beat Trump. Mark Halperin. And he, by the way, New York Times bestselling author, co-author of Game Change, joins us. And first and foremost, I've gotten through most of the book. Absolutely love it. Love it. And I want to tell the audience, this has nothing to do with destroying Trump or any of these kind of things. This is all to do with the strategies needed if you're going to take him on in the coming election.
It is not a negative book about Trump. It's not my advocacy that he be beaten. It's my interviewing Democrats who are terrified that Trump is going to get reelected. And it's their best ideas about what Democrats can do to try to win. So if you're a Democrat looking to see who the best candidate is, book will probably be of interest to you to try to figure out who can best execute these ideas. And if you're someone who appreciates Donald Trump, I think you'll see a lot in the book that kind of explains through the prism of these Democratic strategists, what is it about Trump that has made him such a successful national politician?
Which is amazing, Mark, because you talk about the fact that there are so many of these people who live in this little vacuum sealed world of they hang out with their own, they don't understand what the appeal is, and they don't even have friends or people they associate with who have any kind of appeal or like towards Trump because they're living in this bizarre world, this literally this little micro world of, hey, groupthink.
It's just an incredible phenomenon. It's really one of the most interesting things I've seen in my career in journalism, where you've got these smart people who really care a lot about beating Donald Trump and just denounce his supporters, act like he can't possibly get reelected. The strategists I interviewed feel differently. They feel like Trump is a strong favorite to win reelection. And one of their main pieces of advice is, if you do not like Donald Trump, you need to figure out what his supporters like about him. You need to think long and hard. At least 40% of the country, maybe more, really likes the guy, was inspired by him. He got elected the first time because, in part, he was leading a movement. And people laugh at that on the left. But to beat Trump, as the strategist I interviewed said, you've got to understand him. You've got to understand and respect the people who support him and try to tell a better story about America than the one Donald Trump tells.
Yeah, absolutely. Talking to Mark Halperin, How to Beat Trump is his latest book. It's a must read, and it's a must read, I'm sure, for not just the people out there who want to figure out, hey, what makes this guy tick? How do we beat Trump? But also from the Trump side of things, I'm sure people within the Trump sphere probably hit you up for books early on when they knew this thing was coming out, because you talked to so many strategists on the other side.
They did. Multiple copies have gone into Trump world because they understand the fact that, yes, he may be the favorite to win. But what I did was I interviewed the smartest Democrats I know. Some people are surprised, why are these Democrats giving away the playbook? And the answer is because they're worried that the Democratic presidential candidates and their advisors are not going to do the things that are necessary. So the president's people are interested in it. A lot of the Democratic campaigns are interested in it. I interviewed people who work for the current campaigns and people who've had a long track record doing this. But this is an election unlike any other, because Donald Trump is a candidate unlike any other. And one of the main pieces of advice that strategists give to these candidates is, you've run for office before in most cases. Do not think that this is like anything you've ever done before. Running against Donald Trump is unique in so many ways, and they're going to have to adjust their expectations and their biorhythms if they're going to have a chance to beat him.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It's not like anything. His base isn't going anywhere. It's not abandoning him. If you go and you look at his numbers, they're comparable in a lot of ways to different presidents who are running for re-election. And that being an incumbent, and you talk about it, that's huge, because since 1900, what has there been 3 presidents that have lost going into a chance to have the presidency for the second time?
4 elected incumbents have lost since 1900, and the 2 most recent ones, President Bush 41 and Jimmy Carter, they had weak economies and they had strong primary challenges. Trump is not going to have a weak economy. The economy is not working for everyone, but even a lot of liberal organizations acknowledge that there's strength in the economy. Unemployment's low. The GDP growth rate's pretty good. Other things are happening that are getting people encouraged about the economy. Again, not everyone, but enough people for Trump to have that as a talking point. And he's not facing serious opposition. So no elected incumbent in our lifetime has lost if they've got a decent economy and no nomination challenge. It's one of the many historical factors that the people I talk to for how to beat Trump say makes him formidable. But as I said, the second piece of the equation is not just the history of all the benefits of incumbency. It's the fact that Trump is a beast of a candidate. He won last time with basically no campaign. He raised less money than Hillary Clinton. He didn't have a big staff. He won by tweeting and by driving a message in his rallies. This time he's got all of that, plus incumbency, plus over $1 billion to spend.
Yeah, that's huge. Money's massive. Talking to Mark Halperin, his new book is How to Beat Trump. And Mark, that right there is huge. The money is massive, but also the machine is massive. He's got stuff now that he didn't have before. He's also been through it, right? And that's something that is I don't think you can take away that experience of running through it. And much like a lot of other presidents, I think the one thing he does better than anything else is he loves to be out on the road. He loves to talk to people. And even though he can put on a show, the one thing I always thought Hillary really screwed up on, Mark, is she would go out and she would talk about how bad he was. And Trump would do the same thing. But in between, he would say jobs. In between, he would say immigration. In between, he would say things where people go, oh, yeah, she didn't do that. He gets it. He has an understanding. And I do think he's a hell of a campaigner.
I think you've nailed three really key parts of this. One is that he has done it before. Some of the Biden's run before, Sanders has run before, but they've never been in a general election, which is a different beast. Two is Trump is entertaining. He's compelling. Even people who hate Trump, they watch his rallies, they look at his Twitter feed. There is a showbiz entertainment aspect to politics. There always has been. And a lot of the Democrats I interviewed worry that their candidates just aren't as compelling. They don't have the same ability to draw a crowd. And lastly, people discount Trump's understanding of issues at their peril. Trump talks about things like immigration, like healthcare, like foreign policy in a way that has a lot of resonance for a lot of people. And what the strategists I talked to said is our candidate has to do the same thing. You've got to issues are not necessarily what people vote on, but those hot button issues, those things that arouse emotion in Americans. Trump is, as you said, a master of slipping those in and keeping people engaged. And what is a concern for a lot of these Democratic strategists is which of our candidates can compete with Trump on that level.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's one of the things that, I try to tell people, look, if you're going to beat the beast or the monster, you need to understand what makes the monster ticks, and you need to be able to also understand what's behind the monster. And I don't think the people on the left in particular think that smart people that you talk to get it, Mark. But a lot of the other people, that's just the average person who just hates Trump, thinks, well, he's going to be crushed. Doesn't matter who they run. Look at the numbers. But you and I both know numbers lie, especially after we saw this. But you go back to Obama and you talk about the fact that there were predictions that he was going to get smashed in his second election, and he won handily. Trump may get more votes this time and win by a bigger margin.
Yeah, I mean, most people think the turnout's going to be huge and Trump will get more votes. So the Democratic nominee is going to have to find a way to get more votes than Hillary Clinton got. And the Electoral College favors Trump. There was a poll this week, New York Times, polling Trump against the leading Democrats in states like Michigan, Pennsylvania, Wisconsin. And they were all pretty close to Trump. But that is before Trump starts spending $1 billion on whoever the Democrats nominate. A lot of the stuff in the book talks about the historical experiences, and the Obama one is incredibly instructive. This exact month, a year before Obama faced re-election, the New York Times said he had a 17% chance of getting reelected, and as you said, he was reelected handily. So what these strategists advise is not be in denial, not ignore Trump's strengths, but figure out how to match him. Not play his game because you can't beat Trump at his game, but play a game that elevates you above where Trump is. And again, you got to tell, as several of them said, a better American story, a better explanation of what you see as America's current state and where you think you can take the country. And right now, they worry none of these Democratic candidates are doing that.
Talking to the one and only Mark Halperin. He's got a new book out, How to Beat Trump, and it is an amazing read. One of the things you talked about is there's unique ways that maybe if it's about the victory, that includes, hey, you know what, we may not be able to beat him nationwide in the Electoral College, but we don't need to do that. We can just take a few states and take enough votes away that he loses, and that maybe we should start thinking about, we'll run some people in those states that we think we could steal some votes from, and he'll lose the Electoral College in that direction. Because if you look, even the New York Times talked about it yesterday. They were talking about the fact that in the Electoral College, he still has the lead, and in those key swing states, he's still winning.
Yeah, and in those states, the electorate is, compared to the other states in the country, it's older and whiter, and that is where Trump gets his votes. There are, in Wisconsin, which is, most people I interview for the book say is going to be the key state. If you know who's going to win Wisconsin, you probably know who's going to be president. In that state, there are 600,000 non-college educated white men who didn't vote 4 years ago. And the Trump campaign is looking for every one of them and try to turn them out. And it's a real challenge for the Democrats, because in those states, basically those three states, Pennsylvania, Michigan, Wisconsin, will probably decide this. Trump won all three of them last time. If he wins just one of them this time, he'll probably be reelected. And Wisconsin is the toughest one for the Democrats. And like I said, the Democrats are worried that right now Trump and his team have spent 3 years, and they've got another year to focus on the general election in Wisconsin. How much do you think Joe Biden's thinking about the general election in Wisconsin, or Elizabeth Warren? They don't have that luxury now, they don't think. The strategist, one of their big pieces of advice was, you have to start thinking about the general election now. If you wait until the spring or the summer when you win the nomination, it'll be too late to build the kind of operation to go up against what one person called the political Death Star of the Trump campaign.
Yeah, and he is a political Death Star, and he's interesting. And again, I find him to be interesting. I don't always agree with him. I like some of the stuff. I can compartmentalize. I'm not a never Trumper, but I don't support him to the death like a lot of people do. But he's interesting. And one of the other things, Mark, is somebody's going to appear on stage next to him. And I try to tell people this. Optics is vitally important in life. He's tall, he's towering, he sucks the oxygen out of the room, and there is something to be said for a magnetic personality that is standing up there. And I look at somebody like Elizabeth Warren, and I think to myself, or even maybe a fragile, of Joe Biden or Bernie, even Buttigieg. I just feel like there's just something about that. Once we saw Nixon sweat, it changed everything.
Yeah, look, Trump used to be a television producer and the star of a television show. He gets what this looks like. Now, I'm not sure he's going to debate or how much he will, but I agree with you 100%, and the people I interviewed for the book agree. The debates could be decisive, and Trump comes into them with a big advantage. Number one, he's done it before. And 4 years ago, one of the things that people told me for the book was, if you read the media coverage of the Trump-Clinton debates, the pundits were basically said, oh, Trump was a moron, Trump was confused, Trump was long-winded, Trump looked angry. They basically declared Clinton the winner of all three debates. In retrospect, a lot of the consultants I talked to said, you know what? I went back and rewatched the debates. I think Trump won them. And they think Trump won them because, what you said, the optics of his appearance, but also he spoke more like a normal person. Hillary Clinton was talking more like a politician. And this is one of the big things they point to say, if we're going to beat Trump, whoever our candidate is, whether it's a career politician or not, they need to talk to people like Trump does in a normal way. Trump is the master of rhetoric that it really connects with people.
Yeah, absolutely. The book is enjoyable. It's an easy read. And I tell you what, it gives you insights in ways that people, I don't think, realize. And it's interesting to listen to the experts talk, because I think they get it, where a lot of times I don't think the candidates get it. And it's going to be very, very interesting. If you were to pick one person, Mark, and last thing I'm going to ask you, if you were to pick one of them standing on that stage, getting through all of this craziness, but also being able to resonate with America enough that it would be a good battle. Out of everybody you see on the left side of the aisle that's running for president, who do you think is going to give Trump the biggest battle?
Yeah, amongst even your informed listeners, I think some people will be surprised by this answer. Michael Bennet, the senator from Colorado, who's not been making the debate stage, I think he matches up with what a lot of the strategists say is needed. He's someone who is not going to be afraid of Trump or rattled by Trump, will have the right demeanor. But I don't think he's going to get the nomination. Of the people right now, Buttigieg, Biden, Sanders, and Warren, who seem to be in contention for the nomination, I don't think any of them are doing the things the people who I talked to for the book say need to be done. So I couldn't tell you who I think would be the strongest. I think they've all got deep flaws. I was talking to a bunch of Democratic strategists last night, and one of them said, this is a field without superstars. It's got some nice people in it, some talented people in it, but no superstar. And to beat an incumbent takes a superstar. No one's beaten an incumbent since 30 years ago, almost, when Bill Clinton beat an incumbent, and Bill Clinton is a superstar politically.
Absolutely. Book, awesome. How to Beat Trump, Mark Halperin. Appreciate you coming on, man. At Chad Benson Show, Twitter, ChadBenson. The book is it's really kind of an eye-opener. I'm telling you guys, check it out. Again, it's not a slam on Trump. It's trying to pick the brains to say, how do you beat this? How do you beat this machine and that it thing that these people don't have? How can they do it? It's the Chad Benson Show.
Don't let the Washington Beltway strangle you. This is where the exhausted majority comes to refuel, realign, and reevaluate. This is Chad Benson.
Mom, I want to do something right.
Rebel Without a Cause star James Dean died in a car crash in 1955. He was only 24 and did 3 movies, but his 4th is coming. The Hollywood Reporter says Dean will have a secondary lead role in the upcoming Vietnam-era action movie Finding Jack. Using old footage and pictures, the filmmakers will recreate what we're told is a realistic version of James Dean. And while we'll see Dean's full body, another actor will voice the lines. If successful, we could see a lot of other dead stars brought back to life. Dean's family's on board. The movie's due out next year.
You know, they talked about this for years. About 5-10 years ago, they talked about how they could bring Bruce Lee back for something. And it's coming. And what I'm waiting for is, and Anthony brought it up, producer Anthony brought it up, when are we going to get a movie that is nothing but fake actors that look like real actors? Not the CGI stuff that we think of that almost looks cartoonish, but something that is so real. It's coming. It's going to be insane, but it is coming. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Feel free to tweet at me. That is nuts, though, right? Like, they're doing that. They're bringing him back. Who's next? Who's next? MyPillow, that's who's next. What are you waiting for? All right? MyPillow is amazing. Let me tell you something about MyPillow. Right now, they got the buy one, get one free, which is awesome. I'm telling you guys right now, it's awesome. The buy one, get one free on the MyPillows. All of this, their stuff is incredible. And they got towels coming. I'll let you know that. They got deep discounts. You go to MyPillow.com, click on the new radio listener special, type in code Benson. If you're going to get one thing, people say, what do you get? If you're not going to get the MyPillow, which is, it's the home run, right? Like that's what the mattress topper to me is a game changer in the way that I've slept. It is so incredible. And I'm telling you guys right now, try it. Go there, 60-day money-back guarantee, a 10-year warranty. They're going to treat you they're going to treat you right because they put their money where their mouth is. Get there today. See the deep discounts. Take advantage of the buy one, get one free, and check out the mattress topper. You will not be disappointed. Go to MyPillow.com. Click on the promo code right there for new radio listener special and type in Benson. That's MyPillow.com, MyPillow.com, promo code Benson. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Feel free to tweet at me. You can tweet right at me. Check out thechadshow.com and find out where I have all of my podcasts and grab them because they're absolutely free. And guess what, kids? Last time I checked, absolutely free is a good deal. Chad Benson Show.
This is the Chad Benson Show. Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
We are getting an increasing appreciation for just what took place during the course of the last year and the degree to which the president enlisted whole departments of government in the illicit aim of trying to get Ukraine to dig up dirt on a political opponent.
Now, I've been trying to tell everybody this. You know, Trump's got the read the transcript shirts and all of this stuff, right? All that stuff. I'll read the you hear the transcripts. The call itself, which somebody freaked out about, thought, oh, it's not that. That's secondary. I mean, they got the money. There was never any investigation on the Bidens. They didn't make it, they didn't go out there and say anything. And they wanted him to in the quid pro quo. It's everything that led up to that. I go back to the situation where when you were a kid, right, and you had that picture, but you're not quite sure what it is. And so you start painting and doing certain things. And then when you paint it all in, you put color by numbers and you put, I see it now. It's what it is. They're going and saying, it started here, then Giuliani, then these weirdo hanger-ons. Next thing you know, it goes from point A to point B. Now, Giuliani, in theory, he's got every right to go look for dirt. As a private citizen working within the campaign, that's one thing. Working in a way where the United States of America has said something like, hey, we're going to give you guys military aid, and then him going over other places and potentially threatening or trying to find information saying you got to do this, this, and this if you want this. It's that stuff that people are going to have a harder and harder time to explain away. Yesterday, Mitch McConnell, as we all know, super excited, was asked, hey, Mitch, if we vote today, what happens?
If it were today, I don't think there's any question it would not lead to a removal.
There you go. If it were today, though, he said that. If it were today. Well, it isn't today. It isn't at all today. In fact, it's going to start next week. The hearings in public, it'll start next week. And then we can start to see what all of the hubbub is. Because at that point in time, it is about selling the American people enough that they put pressure on people, in particular people that may be up in 2020, that you need to do the right thing, whichever side that you fall upon it, which you think is the right thing, and either impeach him and remove him, or this is silly and stupid and you guys are really reaching.
We will begin our open hearings in the impeachment inquiry next week. We will be beginning with the testimony of Ambassador Taylor and Ambassador Kent on Wednesday.
Clark Kent's going to be there? That guy's so cool. Does it mean anything at this point in time? No. I think there's still a lot to look at. But you've got some people that it does not matter. They're willing to go to the mat for the president.
What I can tell you about the Trump policy toward the Ukraine, it was incoherent. It depends on who you talk to. They seem to be incapable of forming a quid pro quo.
So they're all, let me get this right, Lindsay. So they're all stupid? Gibberish? And that's, you know what might save some of this? Is people are going to be like, these people are idiots. They're idiots. They couldn't put everything together. But he does have a Giuliani problem. So let's stop pretending now that that's not a problem. That is a massive problem. It is a massive problem for Trump. How Giuliani plays this, what he looks like. I was talking to somebody yesterday who is not a fan of Trump. And we're out and hanging out and having lunch and stuff. But he said the same thing I did. So what happened to Giuliani? Right? Like, what happened to that guy? Couldn't tell you. But I do know this. His associates and the people he was hanging on with and whatnot, that is a problem. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter and Instagram. Check it out. Posted something funny about Hillary and Trump. It'll make you laugh. Everybody, it's okay to laugh. And can we just say this? And we were talking about this off the air before the show starts. Posted on the Facebook. There's a lot of people out there who don't quite get sarcasm. And to me, that's the start of the ending of an empire. When the humor goes away and the language gets controlled, or you can't understand what sarcasm is, that's scary. When people say, who would be fooled by deep fakes, which are those, the videos that are coming out and stuff, I said, let me tell you, there's a lot of people out there. It's not hard to fool idiots. It's not. I don't expect many of you are idiots, but maybe a few of you are. And if you don't know who the idiot is, chances are it's you.
Sending that big message to the rest of the country. It's so important. You got to get your friends. You got to vote. Because if you lose, it sends a really bad message. It just sends a bad, and they will build it up. Here's the story. If you win, they're going to make it like ho-hum. And if you lose, they're going to say Trump suffered the greatest defeat in the history of the world. You can't let that happen to me.
Yeah, well, it did. At least for right now. Matt Bevin, Kentucky. Trump was there. Night before the election. Monday night, doing his thing. Didn't help him. Bevin's not really liked in that state. In saying that, he lost. He hasn't conceded. May not concede. We'll see what happens. You know, they're already talking about irregularities and whatnot. Andy Bashir won. And that is a little bit of a shock, right? Virginia, though, I want everybody to understand, Virginia is a bigger shock. Virginia now has gone from red to light purple to dark purple to blue. That's change. Mississippi kind of held serve, right? And Kentucky picked up some other seats along the way for the Republicans. But the reality is yeah, people are going to spin it in a lot of different ways. What took place? The left is going to do what the left does.
If you're a Republican strategist looking at last night, measuring last night's results, looking forward to a year from now, your next year's election, it's a sharp-worn phrase, the canary in the coal mine. But if you're a Republican strategist, can you tell your clients, got to watch out because the canary is dead?
No, settle down. I'll tell you why. We're a long way away, still over a year. But before any of that stuff happens, we're a long way away before we find out who he's even going to face in the next election. What's that going to look like in the next election? The economy. Yesterday, San Francisco Fed came out. And guess what? They said, there'll be a few bumps, but there's no recession on the horizon. That's a win for the president. Low unemployment, a strong economy. That's a win for the president. That is, I don't care what anybody says. And even the people on the left are like, well, you can't do anything other than say he's the one who's been, at the helm here. And we could talk about it, go back and say, oh, it's this or it's that. But no, it's his economy. He will suffer with it or he'll enjoy the fruits of what's going on. Politico's got a new poll out saying a majority of Americans who are registered voters and who plan to vote believe President Trump will win re-election. And get ready for this. 35% of registered Democratic voters also believe that's going to happen. That's because remember, a lot of times polls are one thing, but when I talk to my buddy Paul Bentz, who's higher ground, he's a pollster, he'll tell me, look at how the polls frame the whole 9 yards, because you can frame all kinds of things. But the other thing, and the most important thing, is look at registered and likely voters. It's a much different thing than just the average person who may not participate. That's great news for the president. Again, if he comes through this thing unscathed and he's not removed from office, and I still find it highly unlikely that they're going to find enough people from the Republican side in the Senate to jump ship. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at me an absolutely horrific shooting. The victims, 9 in total. People are still trying to figure out what in God's name happened, but they do have an arrest. But the more you hear about it, the more it's just chilling.
Mexican officials believe drug traffickers attacked the family, possibly confusing them as a rival gang. Authorities say the gunman fired more than 200 rounds at the women and children, the 3 mothers driving in separate vehicles, caravanning to stay safe. Relatives say at one point one of the mothers got out of her vehicle with her hands up to show they were families.
And they still shot her. Now, somebody's been arrested at just on the border of Arizona, Agua Prieta, right there on the border of it. And they've been arrested, and they had 2 people who were hostages and several guns and ammunition. It was a bulletproof SUV. And there's 2 thoughts with this. The first thought is that person is just somebody who is a sacrificial lamb, turned themselves in. The second thought is he knows that everybody else who participated in this is already dead because the heat it's brought on, and he's running for his life. Or her. They said gender's not revealed. I'm going to go with the he. Is running for his life. Yeah. Who knows? Who knows what will happen? But they knew they made a mistake, and they continued on, and then they calmed down, and you had these children, including Devin Langford and his sister. I think he's 12 and she's 13. He was shot, and I think she was too, and they went on, and he walked, I guess, like 13 or 14 miles to get help. You had another little girl who got lost. I mean, it is a horrific thing, but they have vowed they are not going anywhere. And everybody's like, well, are you sure they didn't target them? I said, if they wanted to target them, they would just go up into the hills where this group has been since 1924 and just kill them all. It was a mistake. Everybody knows it. They weren't sending a message to anybody like, hey, you better watch out. No, the reality is this was a mistake, and they realize what they've done because it's got people over here talking that don't normally talk about immigration in a much different way. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show. That is your Twitter. Feel free to tweet at me. Got the results from the poll yesterday. We're asking about, do you think that Epstein was murdered? Oh, was he murdered? Was he not murdered? We're going to touch on that. Tell you what, that became a much bigger story than I think people thought it was going to be. That whole thing, because ABC is really trying to figure some stuff out here. Like, how do we walk away from this? You can't. You can't. This isn't like, hey, we got 12 hours of footage. We've narrowed it down to 30 seconds. This was the person who had the stories like, hey, let me tell you what they did to me after knowing the mainstream media has killed how many stories of the Harvey Weinsteins and so many others. I'm going to talk about that and so much more. Holidays are approaching. You're saying to yourself, I need to save me some cash. Money, baby. I've got a way that you can do that. You say, Chad, tell me more, my friend. You soothsayer of the future. Consolidate your high credit card balances. Okay? You're going to get a much lower rate with my friends over at Lightstream. Boom! How about this? Rates as low as 5.95% APR with auto pay. Much lower than the national average. How much lower? 20% APR. That's the national average. Fixed rates, so you have to worry about the rise and the woo. You have to worry about that. And get ready for this. No fees whatsoever. They're not into fees. You know what they are into? My listeners saving even more. Right now, go to lightstream.com/Benson, and you're going to get a special interest rate.com. lightstrem.com/Benson. Subject to credit approval. Rate includes 0.50% auto pay discount. Terms and conditions apply. Offer subject to change without notice. Visit lightstream.com/Benson for more information. Chad Benson Show.
You go, boy.
This isn't about right or left. This is just about right and wrong.
Right you are, Chad. The Chad Benson Show.
I've had the story for 3 years. I've had this interview with Virginia Roberts. We would not put it on the air. First of all, I was told, who's Jeffrey Epstein? No one knows who that is. This is a stupid story. Then the palace found out that we had her whole allegations about Prince Andrew and threatened us a million different ways. We were so afraid we wouldn't be able to interview Kate and Will that also quashed the story. And then Alan Dershowitz was also implicated in it because of the planes. She told me everything. She had pictures. She had everything. She was in hiding for 12 years. We convinced her to come out. We convinced her to talk to us. It was unbelievable what we had. Clinton. We had everything.
Yeah. Now, that is Amy Robach, who is, 2020, Good Morning America, talking about the whole Epstein thing and how it was squashed. And ABC is trying to figure stuff out. She came and acknowledged some of these things, but we need to do better journalism. We needed to go deeper. Now, granted, they went after a lot of other people and did a lot of other things where there wasn't any influence to hammer people when they could have gone deeper, apparently. But this... No, you had enough information. You studied it for years. You knew what was going on. You couldn't have gone much. You got it squashed. And no, in many ways, you don't care. There's a movie coming out next month about Richard Jewell. And the movie is a study in how something where somebody can go from virtually anonymous, except for in his own house, to a hero, to a villain, to destroyed, because the media wanted it to be. Powers that be killed the stories. That's the reality of it. If you think somebody who is a media producer mogul, Harvey Weinstein, can have stories crushed, as did NBC and people in Congress and the Senate who paid big money. Stuff never got out. Imagine what Bill Clinton and, yes, one of the Crown Royals could do. Soak that up for just a second. Do I think he was murdered? Most of you do. It was the poll yesterday. Do you think Epstein's death was a suicide or was he murdered? 78% of you said murder. 6% said unsure. 6% said suicide or else. People said, what's that? I said, well, back in the old days, they gave you an opportunity. You could do it yourself or we could do it. Either way, it's happening, right? And that was kind of the way that went. And 9% said suicide. I don't know. I don't. You talk to 5 different, people. They give you 5 different answers. I don't know. Would I be surprised? No. That would be my shock face right there. But would I also be surprised to find out that he just committed suicide? No, I wouldn't either. You just don't know. And we'll never know. And that's the way the powers that be want it. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. I love ABC. ABC's just, they're backtracking and reeling and stuff. You got caught like everybody else did. You better watch out. Rowan Farrow's coming for you. Chad Benson Show.
The Chad Benson Show.
Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
But the alternative scenario is that the president asked for an investigation of possible corruption in which a political rival may have been involved. And there is a mighty difference between those two.
Senator John Kennedy. No, not that one. Republican Louisiana. It is interesting to watch them because it's a sales job now. I've got to sell you that the guy that is on my team, who's president of the United States of America, that what you heard, that what you've read about, you're taking it in a way that is totally different than what they say, which is he did a quid pro quo, he did these things, he abused power, he sent a bunch of people out essentially threatening that they weren't going to get the things that they were promised by Congress unless they went out and announced that they were doing an investigation on a political rival. So it's interesting to watch because, you're saying like, me. No, me. No, listen to my story. No, listen to my story. Does it matter to you, though? That's a fair question right there. Does it matter? In this day and age where we are so hyper partisan. I was talking to one of the women that lives here, that works here, and she's great, but she's uber progressive. She jokes. She goes, I realize, Chad, that my disdain for this president is completely irrational. She goes, I do. I realize that it is not healthy. And I can realize that. So I can't look at anything objective. And I laughed. I said, I get it. It's the same way on the other side. There are people out there that it doesn't matter. I mean, somebody said that she would definitely vote for Trump if he shot somebody. It's like there are people out there that are willing to go to the mat and die on that hill of which they believe. And that is a problem. But at the same time, those are not the people that you're trying to appeal to here. You know you're not going to win them, and you know you're not going to lose them. It's the other people, the exhausted majority, right? Who don't live in the extremes that they're trying to sell us, which is you guys out there, because I think you guys are pretty much as independent as you guys can get. You may lean one way or another. We may not agree on a lot of things, which I don't ever want, by the way. I never want my audience to agree with me wholeheartedly. I want that we can agree on stuff. But if you don't have pushback in different points, God, that was so insane. I couldn't even imagine that. But they're trying to appeal to us because you may be a Trump detractor and you might have still voted for him, and you may still do it again. You may be a Trump supporter, but you look at this and say, no, this is a bridge too far. We'll see. We'll see what's going to happen. But the thing is, you've also got the world's worst salespeople trying to sell stuff. That's why Trump does what he does, the way that he does it, because he feels, you know what? I can sell for myself better than anybody else. So I'm going to go and do it. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. His name is FaZe Jarvis. He's a gamer. He's an influencer. And he's a cheater.
You know, it's crazy that I can never play Fortnite again or even create content for you guys. You know, it's obvious that I made a massive mistake. And of course, I would never think about doing anything like this again. Recently, I posted some videos of me using aimbot in solos and playground mode. It didn't even cross my mind to think that I could be banned for life on Fortnite.
Yeah, he can't play Fortnite ever again. He used aimbots. I'm not quite sure. I was talking to my uncle. He was explaining to me. Essentially, they're cheat codes. What was it like, Phil, when we were growing up? What was it like if you got to be Bo Jackson, right? Or if the basketball Nintendo, you could go to the corner and always shoot the three, and it was always going in. There were certain cheat things that was something wrong. Yeah, same thing. These aim codes essentially made you, they're like steroids, and you always knew you were going to win. He didn't play any tournaments or anything like that. He just posted stuff, and he's banned for life. And you hear it in his voice, because you think about this. Here's something crazy. And I was thinking about you this morning, Phil, because I watched that First Man or whatever it was with Ryan Gosling. I watched that this morning. I got up really early. And I was thinking, I bet you probably want to go to space or be a traveler when you were young.
Oh, absolutely. Right? I still do.
Yeah. Yeah. See, and like Anthony and I were talking, producer Anthony, he wanted to be like, everybody wanted to be a rock star. They wanted to be this, that, and the other. 86%, according to a new study, of young Americans want to be what? Social media influencers. Only 12% actually consider themselves influencers. And here's something interesting. My son Jack loves football, lives for football. I asked him, what do you want to be? And for a long time, when he was first starting to play, like 4 or 5 years ago, really, wasn't really into the social media. He's 9 now. He was like, Dad, I want to play football and play football and play football. You know what he says to me now? I want to be an influencer, Dad. I want to be an influencer. And this is from Morning Consult. These are people aged 13 to 38. 13 to 38. That is huge. So this guy's FaZe Jarvis, he has 170,000 Twitter followers, over 2 million YouTube subscribers, and this was his life.
Cheating in anything is just terrible. You should never do it. It's not acceptable. It's zero tolerance. It's just such a dumb thing to do. I know now how big of a mistake this was, and there's nothing I can.
No, he's destroyed. He's destroyed. And that's the thing. It's a one-shot thing, right? In this day and age. So they've banned it for life, and a lot of people gamers are coming out saying that's ridiculous. Ban this kid for life, whatever. He did something stupid, didn't play any games, didn't try to cheat and anything like that, and the whole 9 yards. But it's very interesting because all these people want to be influencers. You got to think about this. You're at the will of companies that change their algorithms on a daily basis. You're at the will of companies that may come in and say, we're no longer going to put the like button up anymore to see how many. You can see who liked you, but you can't see how many numbers. Well, if you're an influencer, that right there goes away because if you want to become an influencer, you're going to get agencies contacting you saying, hey, you've got 500,000 followers, but they're also going to look at your all of your analytics and your data, and they're going to say, when you post something, you get 8 or 10% of people to look, where somebody may have 2 million followers and they get, 0.5%. So it's you're at the whim of other people. But this is what kids want to be. My son watches Infinite List, Dang Matt Smith, and all of these. That's what he wants to be. And all these kids I talk to, his friends and everything, and they all live for this. This is it now. This is the new astronaut, rock star, all of those things. Because you don't have to be somebody uber special, right? Like, you want to play basketball, you have to be a freak athlete, and you've got to be at the low end, -1, just an offshoot Muggsy Bogues type person. You're going to be 6'2", 3". You want to play in the NFL, freak athlete, chances are some sort of just massive beast who, you've all of these things. You just be a kid who's got a good thing, and you have a chance, and it's right in front of you. And you see other people do it, and you say, I can do it. But you're also at the whim, and these people put so much into it, and when it goes away, just like athletes and some stars and people out there, when it goes away, it's hard. It's hard. There ain't no coming back nowadays. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Feel free to tweet at me. I do like it. I don't even know where to go with impeachment anymore. I was sitting there the other thing, yesterday. I'm like, where do you go with impeachment? We've got an election that is coming fast. You probably know the outcome unless you have a sandbag, meaning you've got somebody back there that's going to come out and shed light on something that is going to change everything. Where do you go? And, people are looking at the elections last night. Is this a situation where we see the country turning on Trump? No, there should be some worrisome things there, right? Because as Virginia now has gone blue and no longer red, you look over in a place like Arizona where I'm at, which was a staunch red state, now they got a senator that is a Democrat. You've got a race coming up where John McCain's seat, which is now, being held by Martha McSally, who lost that Senate race to that Democratic senator, and Kyrsten Sinema, and then filled McCain's seat after he passed away. She is taking on an astronaut, Mark Kelly, and which is Gabby Gifford's husband, who was, of course, shot and that horrible shooting that took place here. But they're going to pour a ton of money in here, and he is in the lead, and I don't think he's going to lose. It's starting to be places that were red are starting to go purple and potentially blue, and that is something. And the rural areas still want to have their say. But if they don't turn out, Trump could really struggle. And if not, and here's the other thing, and this is something else I was trying to explain to people. Trump himself may not struggle. Other people in the party may struggle. It's Trump's party now. So while he may not pay the price, the party itself may pay the price. In saying that, here's some Democrats going to a Bernie Sanders rally with Ilhan Omar to talk about all the amazing things that the Democrats have done in, say, 3 years.
Over the last 3 years, what's one thing that the Democratic Party has accomplished?
Well, over the last 3 years...
Since Trump's been in office,
Trump's been in office? Not a whole lot, man.
I guess they've taken back the House. They haven't really done much over 3 years, but that might have been because Trump has been in office.
No, then they haven't taken back the House, and it's the Senate, and there's a lot of different things, and stuff died. They talked about the Green New Deal, which isn't anything, and they passed the, as far as minimum wage goes, they passed a few things here and there, and a lot of stuff goes and dies where, Mitch McConnell wants it to die because he's in control. But there hasn't been a lot. And same thing with the Republicans. There hasn't been a lot. And the stuff that has been, nobody hears about. Why? Because it's not sexy. Sexy sells, kids. Sexy sells. Impeachment is sexy right now for the media. It's a story that is big for them. They could pass 50 bills today. Mitch McConnell could usher them through. They could go up to Trump. Nobody'd care. If it has nothing to do with impeachment or immigration or sexiness, it doesn't matter. But there's not been a lot done. And it wasn't just Trump. It was under Obama. You need everything to get something done. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show. Super Beats. I take my Super Beats. Here's my influencer thing. Check out Super Beats, man. Hey, it's me. I wonder what my influencer name. I was telling producer Phil and Anthony. They all sound like Infinite List. I'm like, that sounds like a horse's name. Like if you're going to a thing. I don't even know what mine would be. I got to come up with a cool influencer name. But Super Beats is incredible. You guys, it really is. Right now, you buy 2 bags, I throw a third one in free. And if you've followed my show for a while, God bless you. Thank you so much. But I take my Super Beats regularly. At home, they have powder. I put it in water. I drink it. I go. But I like convenience here, and they've got soft chews now with grapeseed extract from Loire Valley. It is absolutely incredible. If you're saying to yourself, I want something that's healthy, that helps support normal blood pressure, check. Helps with circulation, check. Natural energy in your body, check. That's what the soft chews from Super Beats is going to give you, and it is incredible. The taste is great, and you're going to love what they're going on and doing for you right now. Go to superbeatsradio.com/chat or call 800-875-9341. When you do, you're going to buy 2 bags. They're going to throw you a third one in for free. That's superbeatsradio.com/Chad. Superbeatsradio.com/Chad. Chad Benson Show.
Experiencing separation anxiety? That's dumb. Check out Chad 24/7 at his website, ChadBensonShow.com, and on iTunes, free. The Chad Benson Show. Never feel lonely again.
Now, the battle is on because apparently the name of the whistleblower is out there. I don't know if I should say it or not. Here's the thing. Don Trump Jr. People are going after him because they said he put the name out there. He retweeted apparently an article, but Real Clear Investigations, which is Real Clear Politics, had this 7 days ago, what they did is they looked at all the transcripts, they looked at everything, and they started putting one and one and one and one together for people that aren't in hearings, for people who their name happens to be mentioned in every single one of these conversations or investigated hearings, and they came up with somebody. And that was October 30th. So 7 days ago, they already had who it is. And it's funny because it says, for a town that leaks like a sieve, Washington has done an astonishingly effective job of keeping from the American public the name of the anonymous whistleblower who triggered the impeachment proceedings against Trump, even though his identity is a completely open secret in the Beltway. He's 33 years old. He's a registered Democrat. He was with the Obama White House, worked with former Vice President Joe Biden and former CIA Director John Brennan. He's a vocal critic of Trump who helped initiate the Russia collusion investigation of the Trump campaign during the 2016 election, is what some people are saying. And if that's true, you put enough people that are in the center going, well, that feels uncomfortable. That feels like this could be a game. That feels like, sorry, because of today's politics and the tribalism and the stuff that we saw before, that's tough. That's tough. I finally know how to say his name, though, guys. Should I say it? Yeah, what do you think, Phil? Yeah, no?
Sure, why not?
All right, his name is Eric Ciaramella. Ciaramella is the way that it's pronounced here. He left his National Security Council post in the White House West Wing 2017. He has been accused of working against Trump and leaking against Trump. Some people are saying at the National Security Council. So I don't know. Is this the guy? A lot of people are saying, yeah, that's kind of it. So we'll see. We'll see if that's him or if it's not him, if how real any of this is, because we live in what? 24-hour news cycle. We also live in a disinformation cycle. And we also live in a world where there's smoke, sometimes there is fire. And I always tell everybody, there's not always a blaze, but remember, smoke, That's the thing that kills you. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Are you saying he's going to be killed? No. If anybody did something to this guy, you're an idiot. Maybe he is American and as it gets, and he really cares about the Constitution, and he would have done this against Obama. But in this tribal political world that we live in, who can believe that? Chad Benson Show.
This is the Chad Benson Show.